This BizNews production is brought to you by Brenthurst Wealth. Building wealth and protecting legacies since 2004. Invest better with Brenthurst. Okay, tell us about the plan. What happens next? Brilliant, inspiring, lots of people giving you applause because they love what you are saying. But what happens next? Who takes it to implement? Where's the execution?
Not complicated. You see, I'm an educated fellow. If English is a mark of education, I'm sure you can tell that I'm relatively educated. 2, I'm not rich. I'm middle class, can afford to look after my children. I'm a consultant. But you see, it is people like me and people like you who must get out of the comfort zone and now go into politics. So, who implements it? It is the highly educated among blacks and the highly educated among whites who must implement this. The president, remember I said about the Africans and the English, the president, this country is a majority black country, must be a competent and credible black person. The deputy president for the first time since 1994, if we are serious about this project, must be a competent and ethical white of the party and of the state. We must inspire both. And when I say black, I also include coloreds and I also include Indians. So how do we do it? Let's put together this group. Number 1, I would be willing to be part of that group. Number 2, and by the way, the list is there. I can tell you the list is there. Number 2, and this is the biggest challenge. So I will be willing to contribute my life. It's a life-changing thing. My life will be on the line. I could be killed. The ANC thugs are not going to fold their arms. So the biggest donor, if I go into it, it will be me. Secondly, those with money must contribute money because politics is expensive. If you want to do this thing on a massive scale, different from Rise Muzanzi, Bossa, and the Little Mickey Mouse project, you have to do it massively. It's money. So the question is, I am prepared to contribute my life. Are you prepared to contribute your skills and your money? That is the question. And when I talk to some of you, you are very worried that this thing is going to destroy the DA. No, that's not the point. The point is to replace the ANC component in government with a proper group of qualified, trained South Africans. If you don't do that, the DA, let me tell you, forget what Helen was telling you. The DA will never be the government of South Africa if you don't do what I'm telling you about. Look at the numbers. I was here when Helen, by the way, I've endorsed her in Johannesburg. So, park that publicly. And me and her agreed, that we're going to do a podcast where I promote her. I'll do it. So I'm not a hater of the DA. But here is the thing. The DA now has 23% of the national vote. If you actually analyze the numbers, the ANC actually hasn't shifted because the ANC is the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa, it's Umkhonto we Sizwe, it's the ANC, it's the EFF, it's the ANC. That gives you 63%. The DA has never made any mark, and it will not make a mark. So the next move is the team, money, technical expertise, and strategy, and a serious, massive plan.
It's the first time I've heard a credible alternative to the likely reality. The DA does well in the next election. MK is there. EFF is there. Ramaphosa is replaced. MK, EFF, ANC together. They are socialists. They haven't budged. And you've made that point. So if I understand you correctly, you're saying we need a new project. The country needs something that is going to get maybe more people to vote to start off with, to have hope. But secondly, that can be an alternative to the continued decline, which is preached by the socialist parties. Am I reading you correctly?
You are spot on, Alec. You see, a country does not move unguided. Some people must plan the future of a country. This idea that things will just happen unplanned, it's a dangerous fallacy. So, yes, we need, and the ANC is discredited, and I can tell you, the majority of black people are ready for this thing, but they say, wherever I go, they say, Prince, but you, the educated, why are you not taking us forward? Now, a market-based economy, no socialist madness. Socialism has been tried all over the world. It has failed. There's no question about it. Even the Chinese, by the way. Deng Xiaoping had to wait for Mao to die in 1976. He had realized that this chap must die, the hardcore communist, and turn around China and look at China today. So yes, we need a different project, and it is doable. And that project must never involve political rejects. None of anybody who occupied a position in a political party must come and occupy a leadership position in that project. It must be fresh professionals who have never been in politics. Here is the end game. The end game, the DA and that project ultimately would actually constitute the government of South Africa. So those who are scared that this thing is going to take the DA, no. This project will not cross the 51% mark the first time. But the game is that it must get enough votes, particularly from traditional ANC voters, who, by the way, are middle class who live in the township. In Soweto, Soweto people are middle class people. Tembisa people are middle class people. This is someone who goes to church, who has a husband, who has children. This is the bulk of those who have been voting for the ANC. The bulk of those who have been voting for the EFF are actually those who live in informal settlements. That's why the EFF, it's not growing. Actually, it will decline. And this is what most people actually don't understand. I hope I have answered your question.
Is it another Macron?
No, it's a, well. It depends on, you can use whichever. Look, I have studied projects like this. And I said to you, this project, if you want to understand where was it done and what does it look like, it's Lee Kuan Yew. It is Lee Kuan Yew. There's a book from third world to first world. It's a script as to how it's done. One, it's a meritocratic project, unforgivably so. It's merit. If you do not have a post-matric qualification, you cannot occupy a leadership position. Even counselor, if we go to a rural area, in rural areas, there are teachers, retired teachers. You say, look for the guy in the rural areas who is educated to inspire kids to go to school, because if you don't go to school, you won't succeed. That's the idea. So it is Lee Kuan Yew. It is not Macron.
But this is very similar to what we heard at the very first BizNews conference in the opening address by Herman Mashaba. This was Mashaba's project. This was what he was going to do. He didn't have a political party at that stage. He then created Action SA thereafter. It started so brilliantly. You've written his biography. What went wrong and what will be different with this project?
Mashaba, I'm not sure if he's still here. He committed two mistakes. The first mistake, he failed to put together a big enough pool of credible, competent leaders. Didn't. So if you said Action SA, beyond him, you would struggle to actually...
Well, Ethel Trollip?
Okay. Let's put it this way, Alec. If you said, okay, Action SA, we give you the country, show us your cabinet, would you be convinced that there's a cabinet in Action SA?
No.
My answer is no. The first thing you do, don't say, we will form a party, vote for us, when we win, We will now go look for these people. No. That's the mistake committed by Action SA and the rest of them. Find the people and show South Africa way before the elections and say, here is a cabinet. So that even those, by the way, who are going to invest their money in the project, they must see this cabinet and say, here is the cabinet. Mashele didn't do that. That's the first mistake. The second mistake, Mashele dribbled his supporters. This is what he told South Africa. He's forming his party in order to remove the ANC from power. That's what he said. And people were excited. And what does he do? Down the road, he has a little squabble with Helen. He goes to partner with the same party he said he wants to remove from power. Why must a person like that be trusted? That's my question.
So I guess what you're saying to us is that the new project would be Macron-like in a way, and it'll bring people from outside of politics. And Macron showed it is possible to take over. But secondly, it'll stick to what it tells people beforehand, and what it will be showing people beforehand is a project that they can believe in. Is there sufficient support from South Africans, from what you've seen, what the polls are telling us, from what your gut is telling you?
You just don't understand. I get stopped by security guards in shopping malls in the rural areas. And for me, the moving part was this. I'm driving with my family from Polokwane. Those who know Limpopo will know this. There's a Sasol garage in Mokopane. We stop over there, going to buy whatever. Two guys wearing uniform, meaning an ambulance. I can see they're talking about me. When I come back, they stop me. They say, look, one of them says, look, Mr. Mashele, look at me. They told us that our uniform is our pride. How can I be proud of these torn boots? The ANC government has never given us uniform over the past 7 years. They have stolen the man. And it says, please don't stop what you are doing. You are doing it for us. You don't understand. So the black community has shifted. They are looking for this project. To even white South Africans. I get stopped at airports by white South Africans and say, hey, just go and look at the comments after I've given an interview to a podcast. The biggest was Season Buff Welsh, where I clocked 1.5 million viewers. Just look at the comments. Prince for president. I don't have presidential ambitions, but that's what people are saying. So my sense is that South Africans, we now on the edge of the cliff. We want something to be done. But we all are wondering who's going to do it. My answer is, it is you. It's you and I. If you and I are not prepared to do it, nobody else is going to save this country.
I'll get back to the initial question. What's next? What after this? Fantastic, inspiring. We're all excited. Are you going to open a fund, get Rob Hersoff to put a couple of billion in, and then the rest of us follow?
Those of us who are working on this plan are a bit ahead. And I have not been given the permission to disclose all the details. But what I can tell you is that there is a planning team, number one. Number two, there is an NGO already registered, Rescue South Africa. This NGO is going to be used as a tool to mobilize and invite South Africans who want to rescue their country to come and work in this project. It's not my project and the planning team project. So what next? You are welcome to call me. And all of you, I'd like you to be involved in it. I can tell you, there are credible South Africans involved in this project. It's not some Mickey Mouse little thing. There are credible South Africans who are involved in this project who say we are heartful. We cannot allow criminals to run away with our beautiful country. So what next? There is work to be done. You're welcome to contact me, and I'll come to your town with my team to share with you the details and to talk to you as to what is it that you can. We're not only looking for money, we're looking for expertise. All of us must contribute something.
In a number of discussions that I have, particularly with white people, there is a belief that there is a chunk of our population who are uneducated and don't know better than voting for the ANC. Now, I always counter that by saying the business people I've met who have worked at the bottom of the pyramid say you will not find smarter people than those who operate at that area. But the counter is, well, yes, but they don't understand politics, and they'll keep voting for the ANC. Are those people, I'd like to get your understanding of that, because those are the people who will transform this country, not, with respect, those of us in the room here.
You see, this is what we must understand about politics. Politics must always be led by the educated and the elite in society. Full stop. Anybody who believes otherwise, you are not building a country. If you look at the ANC from its origins, the majority, 98% of the black population at the time was uneducated, by the way. Uneducated. But the black elite of the time took it upon themselves to fashion a political project and said to the masses, their own people, here we are your leaders. We want to take you in the right direction. And what did the uneducated do? They followed the black elite. So this idea that, you can't appeal to the masses is absolute nonsense. My mother she's 86, uneducated. She would vote for a project like that. My cousins, people in the township who are without jobs, if you present to them, this is what this project will do, you will have employment. Let me tell you, those masses can shift, but they need to be directed by proper people. If they are not directed by proper people, they will end up in the hands of Mkhonto Wesizwe, in the hands of Malema, and we may need to emigrate. I will emigrate to Botswana. And by the way, the project I'm talking about, look at President Boko in Botswana. He was a lawyer driving a Corolla before the elections. They dismissed him. He told them, we will do it. They dismissed him. He did it. In Kenya, Kanu was removed. How was Kanu removed? We have studied those strategies, including Obama's strategy. How does a black guy get white people in the US to vote for him? So you have to plan very carefully and detailed. The masses can always be led.
Chalema, another example. John Mark's question to you: who are some of the human beings that you recommend move into the political theater to elbow out the scoundrels?
And I'm gonna take a risk. So I was never given the permission to disclose the list, but I'm gonna use it. And we will do it if we get into this. The Springboks. Who is the coach of the Springboks? You know it.
Rassie.
Can you imagine if you made Rassie the Minister of Sports? If Rassie is watching, or if he's going to watch this, he must expect a call from me. At some point, he's retiring. We will force him, kicking and screaming, to be Minister of Sports in South Africa. Why? He has put together, I would argue, the most successful rugby team. And he knows how to pick the best talent from blacks and from whites. That is the kind of South Africa we must build. He must not worry. I know what he will say. He will say, but Prince, I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician myself. I've never been in politics myself. We will get the best brains behind him to advise him and take him through. But he is going to lead sports. So I've given you the one name that is going to be in that team.
There's a very useful precedent just to the north of us. Kirsty Coventry, the most medaled swimmer, I think, until Tatiana last year, became Minister of Sport in Zimbabwe, and she is now the president of the IOC, International Olympic Committee. So it shows, maybe you can say to Rassie, well, you know, you could be the IOC president someday. something along those lines, to,
Yeah,
to twist his arm.
Alec,
But the point is good,
Yeah,
that it's meritocracy.
the point is, we want to suck out talent that is disgruntled and say to the talent, hey, we are uprooting you from, not even from your comfort zone, because that talent is no longer comfortable. It's restless. We are uprooting you. You go into politics and fix your own country. That's the point.
Rob Hersoff is obviously he's in the audience. Prince, give us circa 10 names of the people you would consider your council of experts.
No. Okay. Part of the things, and I'm at the risk of revealing important details. Part of the project is to create what we call a council of wisdom. So, it has never been done by any political party. We go around asking elderly South Africans above 60 who have done sterling work in the private sector, in the NGO, in academia, to be members of this association. They will be the sounding board. They will do two things. Number one, there will be a sounding board for the leadership. So from time to time, if they can't, and they will be independent. These are people who are high achievers, so they have no reason to buy our faces. When we veer off the road, they will tell society, these people have veered off the road. Whatever this council of elders will say, we will take seriously and respect. And let me tell you, we have begun talking to some of them, and some of these names, it's unfortunate I can't tell you now.
Greg asks, in an interview you mentioned you could win the election if you were given 2 billion rand. If the BizNews tribe gave you that 2 billion rand, how would you spend it? And who would you align yourself with? Who would you then appoint to the main ministries?
The ministries is tricky one, is that list again. Let's park that. But here is the thing. You see, I had a meeting with some fellow who's here yesterday. He says, went to a meeting in Mdantsane. With 500 people. It says, it's amazing how entrenched the ANC is in black communities. He says the tablecloth is ANC. The scarf is ANC. Everything is ANC. You know what that is? It's money. It is money. Someone has bought that tablecloth. Someone has bought that scarf. Someone has bought that t-shirt. So just imagine if we printed 30 million t-shirts. Those of you who are in the textile industry, just work it out. You know how much a t-shirt is. 30 million t-shirts. We flood all South African townships and rural areas with the colors of that part. Let me tell you, that moment will represent a turning point in South African politics. A turning point. Can you imagine if we filled up the FNB stadium? There are only 2 political parties that have done. The DA has actually never had guts to do it. It's expensive, number one. You fill up the FNB stadium 2 weeks before the elections. The ANC calls it Siyanqoba Rally. We are winning. You actually, so you take the playbook of the ANC, which I know very well, which Zuma used in KwaZulu-Natal. That's why he could do this. You fill up the FNB stadium. You organize buses that go all over South Africa to bring South Africans all over. You fly a helicopter with balloons of this new project in Soweto. Everyone is excited and say this is a government in waiting. But you have also shown them the cabinet that I won't tell you now. You take over the South African government in 2019. You see, people don't believe something that they have never seen done in their community. That's why they are doubting this thing. But I'm giving you cases. Morgan Changarai in Zim, by the way, they said he would never defeat ZANU-PF. He did. And I know the strategy. He did. They simply refused to hand over power to him. The ANC is so weak, it does not even control our security forces, by the way. They won't resist because our security forces will not collaborate in that project. So I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it can be done. So where does the 2 billion go? It goes into that kind of expenditure. 30 million t-shirts, FNB. If you are going to call people professionals who have jobs from their work and say, join this project, you have to pay them. You can't say, come and join this project, sorry, you can't afford steak. They won't come. And we have spoken to some of them, and they've said yes, on condition that you can prove to us that you can look after us financially. We are not going to go hungry. So the money will go into that. We have calculated how many bakkies, because you need bakkies, how many bakkies a province needs, how many a region needs. All of that detail, how many drivers will be there for the province, how many. It's a lot of money. But R1 billion actually can do it, not 2.
Well, I was in London from 2016 to 2019 and had a number of interesting meetings around the time of the CR17 campaign with people in London who told me how they were supporting, how Pravin Gordhan had gone there to raise capital. So that's another possible opportunity for you. The
Take me there, please. Take me there.
Well, the diaspora as an area, people want to come home, but they can't yet.
They must come back home. This is their home. They must come back here.
Why do you feel the DA is white politics from Annette Hoogland? Annette Kruger of Hoogland, sorry.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You see, one of the things that I have decided to do in my work is to tell the truth, raw as it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you know the DA is a white party. I am not fooling you. You know it. You also know it, Alec. Forget the propaganda.
Well,
you know it.
Who is the leader?
Yeah. Huh?
Who are the leadership?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let us not try. You see, I'm wearing glasses. I'm not blind. I can see. So if you have eyes, you can see. You know what I'm talking about. So you see, when a country is burning, it's not time to lie to each other and to fool each other. The DA is a white party. We have done white politics. That's why if you look, 23% versus what? 77%. And 63% of that is actually in the ANC. It's not making any movement. Just done well in the Western Cape without a doubt. And if you ask me, I don't want the DA to be removed as the government of the Western Cape. If you ask me, it's governing well compared to everywhere else, and I travel. But that will not crack the big vote. You need the big vote in order to transform the whole of South Africa. So, to answer your question, you know the answer.
We all know the answer. And stop bullshitting yourself. See the world as it is, not as you want it to be.
Even as I like Helen, I endorsed her for Johannesburg. But the fact remains.
David Turnbull says, try put a number on to how much money would be directed to education if your redress plan were to be implemented.
So I'm not going to lie. This plan, we have worked out the principles. The detail in terms of the budget of that specific plan are still being finalized. And by the way, we are open to working with people in the private sector to finalize that project. It's not our plan. It has to be, there has to be buy-in by those who are going to fork out their money to support it. You see, if I'm paying tax, get me involved in the decisions, how my tax is going to be spent. That's our approach. So we want those who are going to fork out the money to be involved in the finalization of the detail of the project. But the principle is non-negotiable. We must educate black kids. We must make sure we improve maths and science in black schools. That is non-negotiable, because if we don't, we know we are in trouble. So there is no figure on that project, but the principle I've communicated.
Kerry asks, the brilliant black folk are so well paid in the private sector that they can't leave to participate in politics. So how do we make this happen?
They don't understand. So I'm flying from Cape Town 3 weeks ago. A black guy stops me at the airport. He's also flying to Johannesburg. He introduces himself. He's from KwaZulu-Natal. He's a top engineer. I didn't know the guy. He says, I've been looking for you. I said, okay. He says, look, I've been listening to you. I watch your podcast. You are saying we, the educated, must do something. He says, look, I'm not poor. I'm successful. I'm responding to your call. What must I do? I said, are you serious? He says, yes. I said to him, I live in Bronkhorstspruit. Let me sort out my diary. Do you play golf? He says, yes. I said, good. A round of golf in Bronkhorstspruit. The guy came, was serious. He came, played golf with him. I said, would you be willing to leave your job and go and be a politician in this new project? He says, Prince, anytime for the sake of my children. You just don't understand the depth of the frustrations and the willingness by South Africans to turn the situation around. He says to me, I've worked on big projects involving ESCOM. I have seen corruption. I see it every day. And I don't want my children to live in it. For a guy like me, I'm an academic, I enjoy commenting and so on. To take this step to say I am willing to be a part of group, it's deep. It's not a joke. Yes, they are there.
Luca Buerta says, how do young professionals outside of politics get involved?
We want them. I remember I said there's an NGO. So this is what will happen. Mashele. There will be a national roadshow by this project, provided we get the money. If we don't have the money, and let me make this very clear. If we don't get the money, we will simply stop. I'll just go to Bronkhorstspruit and live there. I'm not doing this for myself. In any case, if I go into politics, by the way, I'm probably one of those who are highly paid outside politics. I'm going to make a loss. So if we get the money, the plan is we will go around the country to consult with South Africans, number one. Number two, to identify the best minds in local communities. So the young people, we want them to participate. So if we select and sift, here's a brilliant young person, we will make sure that this young person is supported to be part of the leadership of that area. Because remember, I am not going to fix Lichtenberg. It is the best of Lichtenberg who have been elbowed out by the ANC who must fix Lichtenberg. So young people, there will be space for them to participate in the project to fix their own communities. There will be the brightest who must be catapulted to the national and provincial level. Those minds, we need them. And we'll make an assessment and say, this young chap is brilliant, must go straight to the provincial structure or the national structure.
So what you're telling us is that it is going to be a project that will be well publicized and easy enough for anyone to participate, either in person or financially.
Let me share a bit of detail. At some point, an announcement will be made. I'm not going to tell you when, because I can tell you the opponents are watching this. An announcement will be made. A clear process of how people participate in it will be announced. A clear funding, and it's not going to be funded mainly and only by the billionaires. We don't want to be controlled. It will be funded by the South African public. The billionaires have a role to play. They will provide. We need their generous support. But even people who are not billionaires, there will be a category of people who can actually contribute to the extent that they can. And the public also will contribute. So yes, it will be public, it will be announced, there will be no confusion about it, including who to contact.
Prince, are you going to pilot your project in your home municipality in Limpopo in this year's election, Jeremy Wiley?
Firstly, I don't come from Limpopo. I know I'm dark in complexion, so people conclude this chap who's so black is coming from Limpopo. No, you are wrong. I'm from Mpumalanga. I'm from Bushbuck Ridge. No, the local government elections will come and go. This project is not going to get involved in that. We are planning for the big elections in 20. You need a lot of planning and preparation before that. One of the things that made the previous projects to fail was to plan for an election tomorrow. This must be planned properly. We must hit and not miss in 2029. And the local government elections that will come after that, then we'll participate, or we'll have our proper mayors for those towns and for those cities. Unfortunately, we don't have time to participate in this.
So 2029 election will come and go. I presume it means your project will only be released after November, after the local elections, or before?
I will not tell the timing, but it will not be this year. The elections must come and go. And then let's watch the space next year.
Does Prince have any views on the size of a potential cabinet in the future and what ministries should be kept, merged, or closed? Nils asks this.
Not more than 21 ministers. And it's gonna, if the project goes according to plan, let me tell you what's gonna happen, and this will shock you. It will be the DA that will resist that. Yes, it will be the DA that will resist that. You know why? Because the DA has entrenched interests. There are people who have been working there who would want spoils. But from our side, none of us have been attached to any political patronage and so on. So we will have a deal from the beginning among ourselves, guys. We will have 21 ministers, including the president. The DA will resist it, but we will fight them and say, we're saving South Africans money, number one. Number two, there will be no deputy minister. What do they do? And if we get the support, hold us to what I am saying to you. Remind me and say, you lied to us. There shall be no deputy ministers. This country is a country of 62, 65 million, right? We don't need 30-something cabinet ministers. We don't need deputy ministers, 2 deputy ministers. This is a patronage network. We want to break it and have an efficient, competent government side by side with a thriving and competitive private sector.
If you were a member of the DA, if you were senior in the DA during the time of the GNU, would you have joined the government of national unity?
Yes, I would have. Supported the government of national unity for a reason. I'm pragmatic. If the DA did not join the government of national unity, would you be having a government that involves the ANC, the EFF, or Umkhonto weSizwe? That would have been disaster for South Africa. I don't think I would be sitting here. Because we know what those people do. They steal. So, yes, I would have joined to save my country. So the GNU is a shock absorber. It's not fixing anything. It's just, reducing the rate of decline. By the way, the criminals, Ket Matlala, have continued in the presence of John Steenhuisen in cabinet. They have never been disturbed by that, by the way. But John, actually, the criminals have been running rings around John. He was not even aware. He's now shocked when he watches the Zondo Commission. I would have joined to be a shock absorber. But I would be smarter in planning as to how to dribble the ANC in that arrangement.
There is a last question, and we have run out of time, from Johannes Wessels. And I think a few DA members and supporters are very angry with you.
It's okay.
Say it's a white party. Say the DA is a 20% party, white population only 8%. So who are the other voters? All white?
No. You see, the answer, you give them the answer. Remember, you said you know. So they must not be angry with me. They must also be angry with you. So the DA, please, I have a partner in this crime. So Alex, so don't be angry. Both of us know that it's a white party.
The proportion of white voters is far higher than other population groups. And if you talk about, come on, guys, I mean, be honest. Look at the leadership of the DA. I have a friend, and I think he's here. He played golf a little while ago with President Trump and Elon Musk. Elon Musk doesn't play golf. And he walked with Elon Musk down the 18 holes and had a lot of conversation with him. And he asked Elon Musk, he said to him, do you have any hope for South Africa? And Elon Musk, he said, was really strange. He waited for 30 seconds and didn't say anything, and then said no. And he asked Elon, he said, why? He said, demographics. Now, if you in this room look around. Paul Mashele last year came here, spoke. He said, I've never seen so many white people in one place at one time. Let's see the world as it is. not as we want it to be.
elect-
The DA is not, it is not a black party. It is not a demographically positioned party that can win dominance in this country. So that's why I support what
Can
Prince
I say
says.
two things? And one, I want to remind people in this room, South Africa is a majority black country. Please accept it. That's number one. Number two, remember what I said. The English, when they struck a deal with the Afrikaners, they understood that the Afrikaners were a majority. That's why the leader of the state throughout those years was always African. Please keep that in mind from the history of white politics in South Africa.
And thank you for throwing me under the bus.
This BizNews production is brought to you by Brenthurst Wealth, South Africa's leading boutique wealth manager, trusted to guide families for over 20 years. Invest better with Brenthurst.